The ZV-E10 is the best value camera that you can get at this point of time. I bought this camera quite a while back, just as a second camera, as a B cam for work mostly, and if I wanted to travel and I just want a small camera, this is it. Along with the Sony ZV-E11mm, it's pretty small, it's pretty light, it's pretty good. All the way back when I got the A7 Mark IV and I wanted an extra camera as a B cam because I did not want to carry another bigger camera. At the point of time, I think it was the FX3. I just needed a B cam, and the A7 Mark IV actually does everything that I needed, which is kind of similar to the FX30 to be honest, because the Mark IV has 1.5 crop if you're shooting in 4K 50. As a B cam, I did not need another camera which does like 4K 60. I just needed a normal 4K camera. It doesn't need to be like slow-mo or anything. That's why I got the ZV-E10. This can do 4K 25, which is good for interviews and when I actually needed B-roll. Yeah, just 25. Or like close-ups of things, I just use this camera. So I've used this on a lot of professional shoots, documentaries, a few fashion videos, and a lot of internet videos, a lot of vlogs for a lot of like influencers and other people who are doing YouTube and maybe even companies who need something for their social media. I use the Mark IV and the ZV-E10. So I always pair this up a lot because this does whatever I need and it's small enough for me to put on a very small light stand, not a tripod. So it's good, and like as long as I don't put in another heavy body like the 18-35mm. On this is very huge. Sigma 18-35 is quite a big lens. Look at this chunkster, man. Look at this chunkster. This guy is quite big. It's actually bigger than the ZV-E10. I actually pair the ZV-E10 for smaller lens just for comparison. This is how big its two lenses are. When you put this together for a normal prime lens, it's not that big. It's still smaller than the 18-35mm. So the size is good. If you pair it with a light prime lens, the camera still feels pretty light. But if you put on a chunkster of a lens like the Sigma 18-35, it's quite huge. Look at that. Honestly, the quality difference, because I'm shooting right now on the S-Log2 on the A7 Mark IV, and this does S-Log2 as well, except it's 8-bit, so you can't really push it that far. Make sure it's still within like the highlight range and all that. And it can be in this neutral from the A7 Mark IV. So this is the 18-35, so I have the 16mm on the A7 Mark IV and the 18-35 on the ZV-E10. See if you can actually tell the difference. Both are on S-Log right now. I might just color grade it and change. It'll be a better comparison with the 11mm. Okay, so I have the active stabilization on the ZV-E10, and just for comparison, this is how it looks like. Not sure, well, maybe you can tell because the white balance is a bit different between these two right now. I have no idea why, but yeah, 7 Mark IV, ZV-E10. So that is the rough difference between these two cameras if you actually need to get another camera, or if the ZV-E10 will just work well for you as well. So in terms of whatever I've rambled on, the video quality for this is actually pretty good. Surprisingly good for his price, and because it's a Sony E10, the E10 has been around for a very long time. You can actually use a lot of other lenses like Canon EF mounts on the E10 if you use an adapter. For me, I'm using the Sigma MC11 to mount EF mounts, and the Sigma 18-35 is a great workhorse. I have to talk about this one day. Everyone should get it, no matter what mount you're using. Yeah, so basically in low light, for example right now, I have a really bright screen. As for fake lighting, recording on the ZV-E10, low light wise is pretty good. I have auto ISO, which is my go-to standard. Let's look outside. I have no idea why cats are always looking outside, but this is how it looks like. Right now it's on ISO 5000. Not sure if you can tell. Oh, and I activated something that I have to tell you guys about. So for the ZV-E10, there is this funky ass rocker which lets you do some digital zoom. How the zoom works, right, for Sony is that, for example, you have a 6K sensor, right? And just zoom in just to a good point of like the 4K portion of the 6K sensor. If I use the rocker, you can zoom in and out. As you can see, it's up to 1.5, so you get a bit more extra 145 crop, which is cool. Yup, and the video quality does not drop. Okay, so right now I'm zooming in. Whenever you're recording, right, it zooms in very slowly. I have no idea why. Maybe it's to make it seem more lifelike, or rather not to be so disgusting, because obviously if you crash it too, right, if you do it wrongly, it's gonna look really ugly. So for example, like this, I'm recording right now, and then I'm slowly zooming in. Look at that, how slow it zooms in. You can actually adjust it to the settings, but for me, I adjusted it to the slowest. I have no idea why. I'm pretty sure that's the reason. Oh yeah, the reason is because if it zooms in too fast, right, it feels to be too digital, too unreal. And that's it. I've used it for a lot of professional works, as I said earlier, documentaries, fashion stuff, social media, broadcast. Well, if it's documentaries, it's usually broadcast. So yeah, picture quality is very nice. So as you can tell, this is kind of a dark room and just being lit up by the monitor, providing a nice white light. But one tip is do not shoot above 6400 ISO 6400, because above that, right, it gets a bit too noisy. Unless you're using like a denoiser plugin or app, then it's fine. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, so if you see on the left, it's a bright screen. See on the right, it's totally dark. So adjusting the ISO right now is 500, 640 right now, 800, 1000, 1250, 1640, 2000, 2500, 3000, 200, 4000, 5000, 6400, and above that it gets a bit funky. There's a fake thing where it goes to 51200. If you can see here, 5120, that is if you're not shooting long. If it's long, it's starting between 500 and 32,000. Other cameras like this A7 Mark IV, the lowest ISO can go to 800, but for some reason this is 500. So just let me show outside again. Okay, so this is ISO 800, 500, 640, 800, 1000, 1250, 1600, 2000, 2500, 3200, 4000, 5000, 6400, 8000, 10,000, 12,800, 60,000, and yeah, it just goes to heck from there. So this is the Mac, 32,000, 12,800, 8,000, yeah. So aside from video quality, the audio just from this mic is actually pretty good. I'm using a Rode Video Mic Pro for this on the A7 Mark IV compared to the on-camera mic on the ZV-E10. So this is the ZV-E10 audio. Yep, do let me know in the comments what you think about it. I won't edit the sound for this. Comparing the audio between the ZV-E10 and the Video Mic Pro on the A7 Mark IV. Yep, tell me if it's good. And as you can see, I'm kind of balding, but no one cares. So I've talked about the video, the audio, and now for the pictures. So, of course, you can switch modes from video to photo. Yep. So as I click off the button, it changes from photo to video to S&Q. Slow and quick. Yep. So this right now in photo, it shows the whole full frame. But when you shoot in video, it crops in a bit. Yeah, it crops in a bit. The reason why it crops in is because it is losing the extra space of the sensor from top and below. So it's just using the 659 in the middle somewhere. I'm not sure. So, well, just to give a live presentation of taking a photo. I'm just taking a photo right now of the A7 Mark IV. You're obviously not going to be using it for gigantic posters outside or something. Actually, technically you can, but you don't tell your clients that. Yeah, so if you're using this for normal photos, for online and stuff, it's very good. It's just dependent on the lens that you are using. If you're just taking photos, right, you can always consider this camera or the earlier Sony cameras like A5100 or A6100. Yeah, it's just photos. Every single Sony camera is good for photos. Yeah, so I've talked about video, the photos, and now the mystical S&Q thing. So obviously time-lapse, it captures photos one frame at a time and then it stitches everything together for you, and that's it. Okay, let me switch to S&Q. If you can see here, it's times 25. So I am going to show you a special setting that I did to actually use this to capture time-lapse. If you actually go to movie, right, you scroll down. to the SIQ settings, and now just screenshot if you can the settings I use. For obviously I use 25 frames per second, and frame rate is 1 frame per second. Every second it takes one photo, and that's it. That's how I do my time lapse. There are other settings somewhere in here that you can actually use time lapse, but I find this way of doing time lapse a bit faster, because I just have to do my SIQ settings, the time lapse settings that I want, just by pressing this button. This button, yeah, it brings me to that mode straight away, and that is awesome. So how about the ports, right? So for obvious reasons, I'm going to start the top of the camera. This is the weird ass microphone. I'm not sure if it's like omnidirectional or not, but I think it might be. This is off and on, obviously. Button for the SIQ, I've talked about this quite a lot. And the big red button. The big red button is big because it makes it easier for you to just press record when you're vlogging. For example, if you vlog with your left hand, and then you just press this red button here, one-handed, and then you are vlogging. Yeah, when you want a hand recording, just use your index finger and just press record. Okay, so aside from that, if you see this other button here, do you notice anything that has changed? This button is actually to make it easier for you to adjust aperture, because there's so it is background defocus. I don't use it at all. So what it does, it switches between the lowest aperture on your lens and like f5.6 to make the background clear and to do whatever, give you that bokeh-licious look. Yep, I don't use it at all. I just adjust my aperture manually. So aside from those buttons, this button here is to adjust aperture. And obviously I've talked about this is to digitally zoom in and out, and this is your shutter button to take photos. The top you have a microphone jack, mini HDMI, and the USB-C, and a headphone jack. So you can really use this for actual proper work. You can plug in the microphone on top, plug in your headphones, and you can monitor your audio, which is cool. And something special about the USB-C. The USB-C actually powers this camera. You do not need a dummy battery. That, coupled with the fact that you can use this as a webcam via USB-C, is great. So that whenever you use this for streaming or for as a webcam, all you have to do is just to plug in the USB-C and it's powered. You don't have to use a dummy battery. You don't have to worry about battery running out, and that's excellent. That makes this camera worth even more, and it's just like between $800 to $1,000, so that's great. So yeah, that's all the ports. Obviously I just have to state the battery, what kind of battery is this. It uses the older F50 battery, which is like the smaller size kind. Always try to do your best to actually use a Sony battery, but if you need to use a dummy battery, make sure it is something that's worth buying and the quality is good. For me, I'm using Kingma. I don't suggest it. Just test it out, test one out first before you find out whether it's working for you, because if you actually use a really bad fake battery, it can just blow this out, so be careful. Choose your batteries wisely. So for the buttons at the back, you can just see I don't have to mention whether it's a function button. There's dial, which I use for shutters and stuff, display mode, play, and the dustbin, which is the trash to delete photos. Yeah, I'm pretty sure whoever is looking at this video doesn't need me to explain this, because it's quite generic. And if you're new to photography or you're new to cameras and stuff, just leave your comments below with whatever questions you have. I'll probably answer everything about this back here. Yeah, nothing much to say about it. Yeah, just go out and play with it. So when you actually buy this camera, right, if you notice there's a hot shoe on top, it actually comes with this dead cat thing, which has a hot shoe. You can actually just plug it in and it covers the mic. The mic is here, right? He just uses a dead cat to just cover, and it's excellent because this is actually very important if you're outside and it's very windy. It helps to lower wind noise. That's excellent. They really thought for everything. This is really a camera that they are kind of aiming towards vloggers, not really knowing that most professional video people are kind of essentially vloggers in a way, because yeah, I mean, if you actually know what you're doing, whatever camera is professional to you. So that aside, I've spoke about everything. Well, if you are thinking about buying this camera this year or whenever, just buy it, because most modern cameras are really good for a lot of things, but this camera essentially is the best value because it offers so much. You can use it as a webcam without battery. You do not have to worry about the battery itself running out, because the USB-C powers the camera. You choose 4K 25. If you need 4K 60, you can always get the ZV-E10 or just get the Mark IV, which is excellent. Yeah, if you watch this far, do leave your comments below on what you think about this camera, and like this video and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate all of your subs and all the comments and all of the support. Thanks, see you guys in the next video before this battery runs out.